Yeah, good day today coming back from spring break. I think this is one of those practices you always want to figure out where guys are at over the break. And we took some good steps forward, but there's a lot of room for us to improve as a team right now. We got a lot of talent, not a lot of experience. So we've talked about that, but I'm excited about the direction of our guys. They want to get better, they want to improve, but that's what these practices are for.
Leadership is not something that's new to Bryce, but how have you kind of seen him step up as maybe the elder statesman of that defense now?
Well, you just said it. It's just not really new to him, right? I still want to hear his voice out there practice even more and more. It's always shown up as a player, right? But that's not something that's new to Bryce. So I have high expectations for what he looks like on the field, and continue to challenge him to keep pushing. But he's been a really good player for us and a really good leader for us.
James.
What's your outlook at the nickel position this spring now that Jaden's here, and how you'll handle Dalen with the uncertain future there?
Yeah, we got a lot of guys competing out there. We had one practice today, so that's the great thing about spring practice is you use all of spring. We'll use all of fall camp. We'll continue to compete.
Eric. Kind of mentioned leadership there. Are there some of the younger players that maybe we haven't seen play a lot that are stepping into those roles? I wonder if you can kind of just express what you've seen from that group.
Yeah, when you ask me these questions, I don't ever really hop into who's doing what, right? We want everybody on our team that's capable of being a leader to be a leader, right? I don't care how old you are, right? I don't care how many snaps you played, right? Where can you contribute? Where can you lead? It starts by leading yourself, right? You want to be a guy that can set an example for yourself. What's it look like? And then the players recognize that. It's not a secret, right? Who works hard, who doesn't, who attacks every single day. We got a lot of guys on our team that are really capable of that. We got more guys that we need to have continue to step up.
In the back, Brett.
Coach, obviously you guys lose some talent at the tight end position with Terrence and with Patrick. I'm just wondering, how are you seeing kind of Kenyon step into that role, and maybe even some of the younger guys like AJ that missed all of last season? How is he kind of showing early up in the spring camp?
Yeah, we got a lot of good, talented players at that position. Obviously, Kenyon has the most experience there. He's shown an ability to make great plays. I think he's going to be a great playmaker again for us this year. And just even watching the way he took the field today, you realize, okay, this guy has a purpose, right? He's coming out there for a reason. But there's a lot of guys that we're looking to create, opportunities for those spots, and that's what you want. As many good guys that can go play at a high level.
All right, here's Zach.
I don't think we've talked to you about Isaiah World at all. What was it about him that you saw in the transfer portal that you liked, and kind of how's he adapted to the team so far?
Yeah, great athleticism and size. It's just the God doesn't make very many people like that, right? And he's got a great spirit every single day. He has the right mindset and the right attitude. He's a guy that played basketball, in high school, and then kind of is grown into a football player. And with that size and strength, it's something we really want to take advantage of.
Back left, Matt.
How do you approach scrimmages this spring, competitive, evaluating where guys are at for multiple position battles?
Yeah, similar to what we've done in the past. We'll have scrimmages the next 2 Saturdays, not this Saturday, but the next 2 Saturdays, and then our spring game. And I think those are the best settings that you can evaluate where players are at. The negative of a scrimmage, we do a lot of 2-spot work, right? So that's going to limit the amount of guys you can have on the field at the same time when you do a scrimmage. So great benefit from the live reps, the work on the field, really, really good for us to be able to take advantage of. We have to build up, our ability to go compete in a scrimmage, right, at this point. And just coming off a break, that's not really this week, right? So we're in that build phase as we go through spring, and then we'll have 3 opportunities to really evaluate these guys in live reps.
Front left, James.
What does the corner room, how different does the corner room look this year with a different group of experience and younger guys, particularly bring back a Dakota or Iffy off of injuries? And is Rod Pleasant going to be part of it in the spring, or is he also focusing on track again?
Yeah, Rod available where he is. When we can get him, we'll be able to use him. Won't necessarily be an everyday thing because he is doing track. But, I just think we have length in that room, right? And we had some really good players that played for us here in the past, but we're just a much bigger group. But obviously lack some experience there. So it's about getting those guys caught up. That's your job as a coach, right? Get them in position that they can go make plays and execute at a high level.
Eric. What's it been like seeing, I guess, Bryce have a little bit more? This is the one sport he's focused on and dialed on. What can you see in terms of progress this spring from maybe past springs where it hasn't been the case?
Yeah, just probably the biggest difference is just his body, right? He's always been a guy that's wanted to have a little bit more size at the linebacker position. And when you're playing baseball and running bases and running around in center field, sometimes that's a little bit harder. The weight rift regiment is a little bit different. So just the ability to get those extra reps and put the weight on that's necessary for him to play at a high level.
Back middle, Brett.
Just curious, what's the most kind of challenging part about spring practices for you as a coach, and kind of how do you embrace that challenge with maybe getting some of these newer guys up to speed?
Yeah, I don't every day. What's great about football is every single day is a different challenge, right? And you don't know what it's going to be when you get out of bed, right? When you come up here, what we can do to control it is our organization, right? The way we teach, right? For us, every single day those guys step into the classroom or step into our meeting room, it should feel like they're going to a class session, right? There's a lesson plan, right? There's objectives for the day, right? And then how you grade that is, do we execute that on the field in that practice? And if we don't, then how can we teach it better and how can we execute it better? So every day's different. Every day has different goals, different themes, right? Today we focused a lot more on red area, being a little bit tighter to the line, to the goal line, and attacking that. Now we have to go watch the film and see how we executed it. And where we were great, then we need to keep building on. And where we weren't, we have to attack.
All right, Zach.
You guys weren't able to get Jamari Johnson out of high school, but you were after him as a target. And what was his recruitment like, kind of in the transfer portal, and what's it been like finally getting to work with him?
Yeah, great kid, great family. Really, really excited about him. I think he, performed really well in his reps at Louisville this year. It showed up on film. What he was able to do. Obviously, had an injury that he's coming off of, and we're really excited about the future there. But that was a tight recruitment down the stretch. One that we never burned bridges on the way out. He made a decision that was best for him. As it went down the stretch, and ultimately, I think realized this is the place that he wanted to be when it was all said and done.
Second row left, Eric.
Weeks ago, Will was commenting that Poncho had really stepped into a leadership role. I guess, A, do you agree? And then if so, can you explain maybe where you're seeing that with this team and the importance of that leadership from your center?
Yeah, Poncho's been fantastic when it comes to that, right? And I think, O-line for us is always, I think Coach Terry does a great job, and really just the culture of the team here, they've always done a good job of being leaders. And Poncho stepped it up. I think he's realized his voice can be heard more, right? His play is one thing, but his ability to move other people and impact other people is something I've seen him step up. And that comes from communication. That comes from the details, knowing what your job is. It comes from the way you train in the offseason, what you eat, right? Making sure your body's in position to be successful. So Poncho's doing a lot of those things for us right now.
All right, Zach.
A couple weeks ago, you got to spend time with Bo and Justin and Dylan all together at the pro day. Is that one of those moments where you kind of look at it and you're like, oh, this is a really special time being able to be with those players and those men in particular?
Yeah, you hope that we get to continue to create, special moments like that. Like I said before, I always say proof's in the pudding, right? And you look around here, if you're a great quarterback, right, and you come to the University of Oregon, you got a chance to have a lot of success, right? A chance to go perform in pro days, get drafted high, go have the opportunity to play in the NFL. And you talk about three great guys that did an unbelievable job for their team here at Oregon and are getting opportunities now at the next level.
James.
Just wanted to confirm that Finney, Hill, and Kennedy are here, and that Theron's a post-spring addition.
Theron's here as well.
Eric.
I'll follow up on Zach's question. What benefit did some of the younger quarterbacks on this team have from potentially meeting with a Justin or a Bo? I know some of them have crossover, but just those relationships, how beneficial can they be for young quarterbacks?
Well, I think more than anything is watching how those guys work, right? Whether it's Dylan, Bo, obviously the success that Justin's had, but the details that those guys, go in and day out, the professionalism that the position requires, the confidence that they have, all those things pay off and they come with time. But being able to see the way Bo Nix takes notes every single day in a meeting benefited, some of our younger quarterbacks on our team. Being able to see the way Dylan competed on the field or his ability to keep a great temperament in the middle of the game, I think all those things benefited those guys.
Back middle, Brett.
Just curious, what sort of an impact do you feel like Dylan this past season had on Dante and in his obviously journey in trying to become a starting quarterback for this team this coming season?
I think, for all of our quarterbacks, Austin, Dante, every guy in that room, Brock, Luke, I think being able to watch the way, again, like I just said, what a professional looks like, how they operate day in and day out, when they realize there's an issue, how do you attack it? Right. One of Dylan's best traits is, hey, something's not going right. I need to go pop in with Coach Lanning or Coach Stein and say, hey, how can we get this right? Right. Being proactive, not reactive. And, Dylan did a great job of that. So I think all of our quarterbacks in that room, Austin, Dante, Luke, every one of them. And then obviously some of these young guys, that standard gets established. That becomes the Oregon standard. That's the way we do it in that room. Right. And it's going to carry over the young guys that just joined our team.
Last question, Matt.
Cross-training positions, how do you go about deciding who's ready for maybe an expanded role of what they did previously, or can they play this other position and help you there?
Yeah, it's always a tough dynamic. We chart it throughout the spring, where guys are working at multiple spots. We want to try to challenge guys to be able to do as much as they can for the team, right? And you kind of figure that out as it goes. Like, can this guy handle a little bit more, right? Maybe when you're working somebody at a different position, you work a few different calls that are a little simpler for them as well. But, we become the best version of ourselves when we can have our best 11 on the field, right? And that sometimes means guys working at multiple spots, and that gives us that chance.